Good afternoon, everyone. It is 1 minute past the hour. We'll get going in just a few seconds. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching. Thank you. If you're checking in live on our live feed, or if you're checking in later, because you might be enjoying your breakfast or your lunch. And I endorse that. That's a good thing to do. It is good to see you all again. Feel free to drop your name in to the chat, where you're from. I hope you know what we do here now. This is a weekly live event, which we record. We put it onto our YouTube channel afterwards, put it on Instagram and those sorts of things. As always, this is a recorded session. Let's respect each other, we're all human beings. Feel free to come off of mute if you want to chat, engage by chat, by text, or verbally, if you want to. And this is the safe learning zone. We're always talking about cutting edge technology here. And it's important that you feel safe learning in whatever environment you are in, because that, as we will see, is an important part of change, which is what we're here to talk about today. But before we go into that, if you'd like to grab your phones and scan that QR code, you can help us make a positive impact today by choosing one of those 3 amazing projects there that you see on screen. So please help us do that. There'll be opportunity later on today to make an impact as well. But what are we here to talk about? Well, we're here to talk about navigating change with your Copilot today. New era, new technology. Credit to Alma Studio for this nice slide template as well. Now, the reality is we're all agents of change already. You might not realize it, but if you think about this in the context of civilizations that have gone before us, we're all at the very edge of what we are doing. You know, some of us have seen the internet start, some have seen the internet develop, some have seen apps rise and fall. All of these things are changing all of the time, and there's some sort of thinking around this from early days. I remember when I was a kid, and my grandparents used to say they've been used to using that VCR Betamax on the screen there, and suddenly there's a remote control. It's like, can you use this, Gareth? And I was like, yeah, okay, do a little bit. And we can probably see that now with younger people using iPads and screen devices, and how quickly some of them people and picking things up. You can see their transition over time to all sorts of changes. So I'd like to congratulate you all for being change experts in the first place, and being just part of that journey which we are all on. Now, there's a lot of change going on, but I wanted to start with something which was more inspirational than thinking about worst case possibilities, which is unfortunately where a lot of our brains will move to in a process of change. But I'd just like to share this. This is a video which really inspired me in the week. It was on a British morning television program, and hopefully you can see this, but if not, I'm just going to have to do a quick sound check, so bear with me. let me know if you can.
We're starting today by meeting a real life.
Can you hear that? Get a thumbs up.
Yes, we can. Well, I can.
Super. That's good. Right, I'm going to go full screen on that. We're not going to play the whole 9 minutes here. We're just going to go into a few seconds.
Life superhero,
Yeah,
aren't we?
after contracting meningitis when she was just 15 months old, Tilly Lockie's hands were amputated to save her life. But through state-of-the-art bionic arms, she's been able to live a life to the fullest.
Tilly is now 19 years old and yesterday became the first person to get the most advanced wireless hands in the world, which are incredibly controlled by her mind.
Tilly joins us now alongside robotics engineer and all-round clever clogs who helped design her hands, Joel Gibbert. Welcome, both of you.
Yeah, welcome.
Tilly, I haven't seen you for ages. You came on the show a few years ago, didn't you?
2020, I think you was.
Yeah, a couple of times. My first time with you guys, though. So
Yeah,
nice to meet you.
be chilling with you.
It's nice to have you back, Tilly. Let's start at the beginning for people who don't know the story. You were just 15 months when you contracted meningitis.
Yeah.
It came at a cost. You lost both of your hands at the time. And the thing is, with something like this, it's such a big thing. Do you even remember a point when you felt different from anyone else?
Yeah, like, it's completely life-altering, body-altering operation, obviously, and luckily I was so young at the time, so I don't remember it. I've kind of, like, had no hands my entire life, you know? So it's just something that I've always known myself to be like, and growing up, yeah, there's definitely some challenges, like, you're adapting to a world that is designed for 4 limbs at the end of the day, and something that has been a journey has been prosthetics, and through my own experience, I've been able to see, like, that evolution firsthand, you know, so it's been really, really cool.
I think that's the most fascinating thing, is how many iterations this has had for you. So, I mean, when you started, what were your bionic arms like? What were you using?
Well, my first prosthetic I ever got, I was 2 years old, and I was like pretty much fresh out the bandages, and that wasn't technological at all. It was basically like a tube to put your arm in. There were like these 3 prongs tied together by elastic bands, and the way it operated was with this hook on the thumb, which would attach to a harness, and then the way I'd move like my upper body would pull on strings and make it move. But obviously, 2 years old, got barely any bodily coordination anyway, so it was a bit of a nightmare, and now you see them and they're like 3D printed, muscle operated, and yeah, it's been wild.
And when you're little, all of that, your gross motor skills, your fine motor skills have to be developed with that in mind as well, I suppose.
Yeah. And I think for me, it was like more, I wasn't just adopting it as my hand. Like, I just didn't really know what was even going on at that point. So it's been a journey.
Yeah. It's been a journey. Now, obviously, you're here to show off your new bionic.
Okay, thanks for listening to that. It's been a journey, I think. If you want to watch the whole 9 minutes of that, I would recommend it. It's a really good watch, and credit to ITV and This Morning Show and that fantastic story there. We switch back in because, as we said, we are talking about change today. But I think there's a really good segue, as some colleagues would say, into it's been a journey, and change is a journey, and there's lots of different ways which we can think about that journey, and there's lots of amazing scientists and philosophers and psychologists and psychiatrists, sorts of models, and one of those models is the Kübler-Ross model, and it was built around 5 of grief. Let me just make a couple of changes there. Can everyone see my screen? Hopefully you can.
Yes, thank you, Gareth.
All good, right. So Kübler-Ross, this great female scientist, she was talking around death and dying, and it was inspired there by her work on the terminally ill patients, but could sort of identify different stages that people went through these experiences, rather traumatic, emotional experiences, but ultimately experiences rooted in change. If we look at what that looks like on a curve, it looks a little bit like this. Now, there's a lot of contention, there's a lot of debate, discussion around scientific models, as there should be, and whether they are right or wrong. And good friends and advisors of mine would say that there's this end of the spectrum where there are models of who you are, what you are, how you define yourself, people around you, and then there's the other end of the spectrum which just says you are who you are, essentially. So it's always worth bearing those in mind. But this is a useful model, and hopefully to understand through some of the emotions which Kubler-Ross typically identified that we go through as part of a change journey. And initially, and you might recognize this if you think back on the parts of your life where there's been big changes, and some of these areas well resonate and where you are. So it's not unusual to go through stages of denial. And I'm going to see a lot of change in society around artificial intelligence. It's even as a technologist, it's the largest change which I have ever seen, and I've tracked changes all my life. I was always the one with the new VCR, because Dad would spend his money on those sorts of things, and that was to the credit of my family, who went on into the computer gaming industry, and I started doing all the things I've been doing. So change can be good. And if we think back to those pictures of the washing machines and the entertainment devices there, all those things go to enrich your device. But some of them are pretty terrifying, particularly as you're thinking about your own vulnerabilities. You might be thinking anger, you might be having elements of denial, shock, depression. Now, I used to have this printed on my desk in one of the places that I used to work well over 10 years ago. And I decided to draw a little picture on it. And probably needs some explanation now, but that's a little person who looks like the Karate Kid, That's a little stick person. I was never an artist. That gift went to my brother. But I drew a line over, and people go, "What's that line, Gareth?" And I go, "That's the Jones Change Bridge," because I could see actually that change is coming, whether or not you want to engage with change or not, because the markets define it, if nothing else. And humanity makes progress in a particular direction. But you can train yourself to be aware of things, try to move, from a negative area into a positive area. Now, you're probably thinking, where is all the AI? Well, we're not quite at the AI bit yet, but it's important to recognize these emotional states, because behind all technology, there is a human being. And even when robots are helping us, there's still going to be a lot of humans doing things with the robots and things like that. So, whatever state we end up in with technology and artificial intelligence and subsequent things after, it's always useful, I think, to bear models like this in your mind. This is a new one, actually, on me, the Overton window. It was introduced to me by someone who we are helping in their education at the moment. And the Overton window is a way of seeing what is happening in society in terms of the discourse, the conversations playing out. And Overton is saying that essentially there is a window there where you can see where things are acceptable, sensible, policy aligned, etc. I'm not going to go too much into this because we don't want to deviate that much away from it. But what I would say is this: in my experience as undertaking development management and thinking about all these concepts from an international perspective, then what you can start to identify is how these international models can be used on a local basis as well. And I think that Overton window could be a useful lens at seeing where you are, you know, maybe strategically in terms of your goals and ambitions and everything else, in context to your environment, geographical legislation, etc. So I just thought it would be useful to put that bit in there as well. Now, there are a couple of other slides which I wanted to introduce to you, and I think I need to just juggle things around here. So I'm going to do that while talking to you guys. And what I'd also like to introduce is something called the circle of control, the circle of influence as well. And this is a model which Stephen Covey come up with, is often attributed to him, who come up with the 7 habits of highly effective people. Multitasking with presentations, one of them. Just bring this into view. And what that circle diagram looks like is this. Circle of control, the circle of influence, and everything else. It's given the game away that I use Canva, which is a good tool, by the way, but other Microsoft tools do exist. The circle of control is essentially what you are able to do within your own power and influence, really. Stretching out influence there. I mean, it's paying the bills, it's, you know, taking your kids to school, it's doing your job, all of those things. But actually what we're able to do and what we're capable of doing is a bit more, because we're able to influence things. Now, why this is important is if we're watching the news and all these things which are going on, and we start to dwell on negative things, you'll find yourself in that bit of the curve at the front on that Kubler-Ross change curve quite easily, because you'll be maybe occupying yourself with things which you think you can control, which in reality you can't really control much at all, and they form outside in your periphery of things. So I think that's important in terms of focusing your energies and change, and you know, what you can and reasonably do with the time that you've got in your own day. Now, there are obviously ways of extending out, but it's a useful model to think around in the concept of what is possible. There is, fortunately for us, in this story of change, a number of different elements which Microsoft have put together. So I've talked a lot about these big picture models, but in a long time, I think Microsoft have started to realize that the benefits of the solutions and the technology which they produce can only be realized with humans. And there's an approach to success by design, user enablement guides like we've got here. And the great thing is, with Copilot, we have a sequenced approach, really, a pathway to lighting up your success, whereby you can take these guides, you know, you can go on here yourself, adoption.microsoft.com. You can take a look at these Copilot guides, but it kind of forks off because you've got the people side of things, but you've also got the technical readiness side of things as well. And if we set ourselves back into that change curve, why are we worried? We're worried that we might not be getting on the train. We might be worried that we haven't got the skills. We might be angry that we've developed the skills and the skills have gone because we're not using the video recorder anymore. We're using the remote. There's all sorts of metaphors you could use around that. But here we've got this great user enablement guide from Microsoft on their website. And I go one step further with this as well, because what we also get, and sort of set the context of where many of us are as organizations, as individuals, right at the start of this journey. There's a bunch of different tools, which are always great, but tools do need to be considered in a different way when you're using them from a business perspective, because there are different risks and there are different thoughts about how you can bring people along on that journey and use change as a force for good, like we saw at the start there in that video, where that person born without any hands was essentially controlling the robotics using a mix of artificial intelligence and her own mind. And while that may seem a stretch too far for people, it is a reality, and it's a reality for that girl who now has a life that she didn't have before in the same way, without those prosthetics and the ability to grasp and all those sorts of things. So here, an implementation overview laid out by Microsoft and their experience, but you can see here the sort of stages of change which you might need to go on yourself. So there's some really easy, components technically that you can be stepped through and sequenced through some of the user guides and things, but there's good partners out there as well that will help you through all of this. And at the top there around user enablement, which is often overlooked, because I think a bad, well, it's not bad, it's a good statistic, but it's a 70% of IT projects fail. I think McKinsey, which means that you've got a 3 in 10 success rate, which isn't very good, and that's why it's a bad thing. And if you start to drill into, the elements of success, is success defined? What have we got there right at the top? Secure executive sponsorship. Create an AI council. You can call it whatever you don't need to call it an AI council, but it should be someone who's, giving oversight and having strategic ownership of the initiatives which you've got going on in the business. And I would suggest that they don't need to be significantly diverted away. You can just think about how you can use AI to augment your ability to get to your strategic numbers. And you can see that this is sequenced through then. So you're getting ready, we're having chats about it. These are great initiatives for your colleagues to be involved with from people functions who have expertise in change management and the way that skills can be developed in an organization, and more importantly, sewing together a strategy to enable all of this to happen. But like all good things, there's strength in diversity of a team, and it's certainly important that you have basically your IT functions chatting to your organizational development, your people-based, your operations-based people to bring all of this excellent stuff together. So hopefully you found that an enlightening journey around some of this sort of models of change, which could be useful in your thinking as you step through, but more importantly, from a practical point of view, knowing how you might start to implement business tools like Copilot, which extends out into your own life as well. You can use it for creating pictures and all sorts of things. I'm going to take questions at this point if anyone's got any questions, but here is that link again, which we had at the start of the session. Please help us to use AI to make a positive impact in your life, you can scan this QR code here, and we will make a positive impact donation to one of these projects on your behalf, and that would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to now see if there's anyone who wants to ask any questions online, or anyone wants to come off mute.
No questions. Gareth, I'm just doing an intro email on LinkedIn, so it's not an email, is it? To a mutual, a contact of mine that I think you might find interesting.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful. Thank you. Great. Well, we do like to provide you with a number of different things at the end of these sessions. So here is the QR code for making an impact, and we'll just bring into view one of our other ones. So bear with me just a second. We'll get that ready. So this one here is your personalized business success score. We have been using great app called Scorecard, and it enables us to provide you all with a personalized success score. And 39 questions, a few minutes of your time, you'll go through there, and it will work out where your strengths are as a business and some of the areas that you might want to focus on in order to draw all of these angles that we talk about on these live events together, to really sort of provide a solid digital experience to your workers. So if you would like to get that, please feel free to get the QR code. But as always, grateful to spend time with you all today. Not one size fits all. And if you want to chat about, particular approaches, rapid ways to get value out of these tools, we're always available to talk to. So you can grab some time there with the QR code, or chat to us on LinkedIn and all those sorts of places as well. But thank you very, very much for your time, as always, and I look forward to speaking to you all again next week. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Very welcome.